Hey, shalom, shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. I just want to know if y'all can hear me. If you can hear me, type Y. If you cannot hear me, type N. If you can hear me, type Y. If you cannot hear me, type N. All right, all praise, all praise. All right, I'll be getting started shortly. Getting started shortly. 1 second. All right, all right. Shalom, shalom. Officer Jezreel, and to my right.
Soldier Zebediah.
All right, so Zebediah be my reader. As you know, he reads for me when I cover for Cap's Monday night classes. Um, but I'll be covering for Cap Daily Bread this morning. But my class, the title of the class is "This is not your New Year's." This is not your New Year's. I know, our people last night. Um, you hear the gunshots going off. You hear the firecrackers popping off. Because why? Our people, we still have the notion that this is our New Year. Okay, this is our New Year. We still. I'm sure people still waiting for the ball to drop. They probably want nobody down. There's probably Negroes. I don't know. I don't care. I ain't watching. But the whole point of the matter is that our people think it's the New Year, man. Our people still think it's the New Year. In the dead of winter, it's cold as hell outside. It's cold as hell outside, man. It's freezing. But this is the New Year, right? This is the New Year. Okay. Okay. So, title of the class is "This is not your New Year." I did this class probably last month sometime, but you still got some people, probably think it's the New Year. Or maybe some people that just came into the truth, they're new, they don't know, um, you know, they don't know when our New Year is. But the Most High God gave us laws, statutes, and commandments, and He gave us high holy days. So Israel, we had our own high holy days or whatever. Not these holidays out here that your slave master gave you. No, we had our own holidays. All right, that we celebrated. All right, according to God. Okay, and New Year's is in this New Year's right here is not one of them. You won't find this New Year's in the Bible. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna go through what is today. What really is today? Is it really the New Year's, or is it something deeper? Because our people don't like to read. We don't read. We don't read. Now Esau did. He gave us a little education to pick up a book and read. He let us read after slavery. So and with all this um, technology out here, all this information, no time to be stupid and still be celebrating the dumb stuff that's out here. You understand? Because you can look it up. You can look it up. Okay, this ain't the New Year's. What are we doing? You understand? So it's no time to be playing stupid. No time to be dumb. All right, give me Romans 15:4. Book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right. So whatever is written, that's going into history. Paul is saying, look, whatever things is written before time is written for our learning. That's talking about history. That's history right there in the scriptures. Okay. All the history, all the world history that you see out, this is in the Bible. Okay, but it's up to us to go and do the search now. It's up to us to go do the search of our forefathers now, just to understand, okay, the history or whatever, how our forefathers dealt with each other, how we conduct ourselves, how we move around the other nations and so forth, how the Most High dealt with us. Okay, the trials and tribulations that our forefathers went through. We're supposed to go through these scriptures and search these things out. Okay, give me read that again.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right. Because you think our forefathers ain't dealt with this? Oh, they dealt with this. They dealt with this being the so-called New Year's. This was around them. Okay, this ain't nothing that just popped up that was new. No, this thing been happening for centuries. All right, but we was much smarter back then. You understand? Cause why? We was keeping God's laws. All right. Give me. I wanted Job. Give me Job 8. Job 8 and 8. Is that it? Yes. Read that.
The book of Job, chapter 8 and verse 8. For inquire, I pray thee.
The word inquire means, another word for inquire means investigate. That's what inquire means. Investigate. Read that again.
For inquire.
Search. That's the easier word. Search. Go ahead.
I pray thee of the former age.
Meaning the age that was before you. Before you was born. The generation before you. The generation before that and before that and before that. Make a search of these things. Go ahead.
And prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
And prepare ourselves to the search of our forefathers, right? In these scriptures, in this Bible. All right. Going back into what? History. Okay. History. Right? Okay. So let's get into it. New Year's Day. So a lot of people think it's New Year's Day, but it's not. We're going to show you, we're going to go through what our people's actually out here celebrating. All right. But before we get that, give me Psalm 64 real quick. These demons, man. Like I said, our people don't like to read. They don't want to search nothing. They just out here just with a sheep to the slaughter. That's our people. We just want to follow. You got that Psalm 64?
Yeah, you want verse 6?
Yeah, read that.
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search.
So the white man search out iniquity. He search out evil, sin. Go ahead. And he do what?
They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search.
And doing this search of iniquity, of sin, they accomplish a diligent search. A thorough search. Okay? They are 10 steps ahead of us, man. You know, we slow. To Esau, we slow, man. They 10 steps ahead of us. They already done thought that thing out, done planned it, done mapped it out. They got what you call think tanks and so forth. Today, they have think tanks and so forth that they sit around and think things out. So, like Bishop class that he brought out this past Sabbath when he was going into the whole population control. Remember that? Right. He was showing that article that Bishop brought up. That was 1992, and to show you they was already steps ahead of what they was planning to do right now. So they was already making plans for that back about 30 years ago. About 30 years ago, they was already planning to do what they're doing now, meaning they accomplished a diligent search. Read that again.
They search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
You see that? It's deep. Hey, listen, they don't scratch the surface. Nah, man, we gotta go deeper. That's why they got archaeologists and so forth. They set up that they pay money to go out and dig these certain sites and these historical sites and whatever. They accomplish a diligent search. And guess what? Even during holidays, they accomplish a diligent search. Christmas, okay, they concocted Christmas. They concocted like 4 parts in Christmas, man. You got the tree. You got the tree, which came from ancient Babylon. Okay, you got you got the tree, which came from all the way from ancient Babylon, which went all the way back to Nimrod. You got the help me out. You got the tree. You got Santa. You got a fat white man that coming down a chimney. That came from when the Renaissance, Santa Claus in the Netherlands. That's where that came from. And then what else you got? That they and the gifts. We were the gifts. And how I forget this? And they put it on December 25th. They put it on December 25th, telling you that that's Christ's birthday. So they put they concocted all type of evil, man, within that one, and made it and call it Christmas. And our people still in celebrating it, giving gifts to one another. This is what he do. Read it again.
They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
It's deep. 10 steps ahead. They make a thorough search. Go ahead.
But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded.
Right. So that's going into destruction. So let's get into it. New Year's Day. What is New Year's Day? 1 second, Israel. I'm trying to pull up the Wikipedia real quick. My slow behind computer. Bear with me. All right. 1 second. All right, hold on. Let me see. Try to fit it. See it. See that dude. See. All right, read that for me.
New Year's.
All right, so this is Wikipedia, New Year's Day. You can search it. You can look this up on your own. Go ahead.
New Year's Day, also simply called New Year or New Year's, is observed on 1st January.
So let's pay attention to that. New Year's Day, also simply called New Year or New Year's, is observed on January the 1st. Go ahead.
The first day of the year on the modern Gregorian calendar, as well as the Julian calendar.
So the Gregorian calendar is the calendar that we follow now. That's the calendar we under right now, right? Go ahead. In this captivity. Go ahead.
In pre-Christian Rome, under the Julian calendar.
So in pre-Christian Rome, we was under the Julian calendar. Made after who? Julius Caesar. Made after Julius Caesar. That's the Julian calendar. Go ahead.
The day was dedicated to Janus.
Now, this is where I wanted to get to. The New Year's Day, the first New Year's Day, the January 1st, was dedicated to who?
To Janus.
This day was dedicated to Janus, read.
God of gateways and beginnings.
So, this is what our people are celebrating. You're dedicating this day to the God called Janus. The God of gateways and beginnings. Hence, New Year's resolution. Meaning what? You closing one door and you beginning another. That's what that God is for. You closing one door and you closing another. So when somebody said, "Look, I'm making Like, oh, my New Year's resolution is gonna be I'm losing weight.
Right.
I'm gonna do better this year. I'm gonna stop
Stop smoking.
stop smoking. I'm gonna give me some more New Year's resolutions that our people used to I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna settle down. I'm gonna have some children. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go back to school. These are the simple behind New Year's resolutions that our people used to make. So why? Because now you're closing the door to last year, and now you opening up a new year. So read that again.
The day was dedicated to Janus, god of gateways and beginnings, from whom January is also named.
There you go. Hence the name January. It's named after Janus. Read.
As a date in the Gregorian calendar of Christendom.
Right.
New Year's Day
liturgically
marked the feast of the naming of circumcision of Jesus.
All right, BS. Go ahead.
Which is still observed as such in the Anglican Church and Lutheran Church.
Mm-hmm.
The Roman Catholic Church celebrates on this day the solemnity of Mary, Mother of God.
Read on.
In present day, with most countries now using the Gregorian calendar as their de facto calendar.
Right. So that's what we're under right now. We're under the Gregorian calendar. Go ahead. With what? 12 months. Go ahead.
New Year's Day is among the most celebrated public holidays in the world, often observed with fireworks at the stroke of midnight.
So stop. Read that part again.
Often observed with fireworks at the stroke of midnight.
Right. That's why you hear Negroes. I seen Negroes out back where I live, shooting firecrackers, man.
I heard that joke all night.
All night, shooting guns, firecrackers. This is what goes on. Read on.
With fireworks at the stroke.
I think they still doing it. It's cold as hell outside. They still shooting fireworks right now, man.
Right. Oh man.
Y'all people crazy. Go ahead.
Often observed with fireworks at the stroke of midnight as the New Year starts in each time zone.
Read.
Other global New Year's Day traditions include making New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
And calling one's friends and family.
Now, why can't you call your friend or family every day?
Right.
Why we gotta pick Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's to call people up?
Right.
Yo, man. I used to hate getting them texts. You have 100 texts lined up on the phone, man.
Right.
I'm like, man, here we go with this, man. I'm not getting back to everybody. I'm not texting you back.
People you ain't hearing like 2 years.
Bro, you ain't hear people since high school, man. They hitting you up talking about, Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's.
Right.
Like, where you come from? But it shows that we destroyed, man. Why couldn't you hit me up before that? Why couldn't you hit me up? You got all day to hit people up. For example, I'm going back to Christmas. On Christmas, you want to give your child gifts on Christmas, right? Now, you have all year to get your child gifts. All year. Why do our people pick December 25th to give gifts? You have all year to give gifts. You get your child something any day of the week. Anytime. But December 25th, nah, this is when you gotta go all out now. I gotta go all out. That's the only time my mother wanna get my child something, my kids something. And I'm like, nah, no, I already told you. You know, you gotta rehash it to them because it's in the brain. It's serious, a hot iron. You can't get it out of them. They don't. You tell them one time and they still do it again. You know. But all right, I'm sidetracking. But read that again. Read that. The bottom part, right? Other global New Year.
Other global New Year's Day traditions include making New Year's resolutions and calling one's friends and family.
Right, and calling one's friends and family. Let's move down. Let's go down to the history. Watch this, Israel. Wow, pay attention. Right here. Start in Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, instituted the concept of celebrating the New Year in 2000 BC and celebrated New Year's around the time of the vernal
equinox.
So,
in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq, instituted the concept of celebrating New Year in 2000 BC. No, they didn't. That concept came from the Most High God. Because why? He gave us the time period to celebrate the New Year's. All right, all other countries they just followed right after. That's all. They just fell in line. But it says Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq instituted the concept of celebrating the New Year in 2000 BC. Okay, that came from us. And celebrated New Year around the time of the vernal equinox, which is when?
In mid-March.
Mid-March. Listen, the other nations had common sense. We had common sense. Most High gave us our common sense. In mid-March. Read on.
The early Roman calendar designated 1 March as the first day of the year.
See that? The early Roman calendar. Even Rome, they knew better. Rome knew better. They like, yo, read it again.
The early Roman calendar designated
March 1st.
March 1st as the first day of the year.
So even Rome understood that that New Year was in March. Read on.
The calendar had just 10 months.
It had what?
Just 10 months.
There was no 12-month calendar. That was added on. That's new. A 12-month calendar is new. We always knew there was a 10-month calendar. We always understood that the beginning of the new year was in March, around March or April. We understood that. The other nations understood that. Even though they were following after their gods and so forth, they understood that. Read on.
The calendar had just 10 months, beginning with March. That the new year once began with the month of March and still reflected in some of the names of the months.
So listen here. They letting you know that, listen, common sense would tell you that the new year started in March, always started in March, and you can understand that by looking at the name, that some of the names of the months. You understand? They let you know, listen, man, they let you know this is BS. You can tell by some of the names of the months that it started in March. That it's a 10-month calendar. Watch this. Read on.
September through to December.
So September through to December. So these are some of the names of the month that you can understand why it started in March. Read on.
The ninth through the 12th months of the Gregorian calendar were originally positioned as the 7th through to the 10th months.
Right. So September through December, the 9th through the 12th months of the Gregorian calendar to today, right, were originally, meaning before the Gregorian calendar, positioned at the 7th through the 10th months. Why? Read on.
Septem is Latin for 7.
You see that? They telling you, they letting you know. September is Latin for 7, meaning what? It was the 7th month. It was the 7th month. We knew that. We understood that. It was common sense back then. Read on.
Octo, 8.
October is the 8th month. Go ahead.
Novene, 9. And
right, Novene, 9. Okay. November is the 9th month. Go ahead.
And Decem, 10.
And Decem is 10, December, the 10th month. So they telling you that's what it was. The 7th month. September means the 7th month. October means the 8th month. November means the 9th. December means the 10th. It was common sense back then. We knew that. We understood that. Read on.
Roman legend usually credited their second king, Numa, with the establishment of the 2 new months of
Lanarius
and
wait, like January is Lanuarius. Go ahead.
Lanuarius and Februarius.
Right. So going back to January and February. So Roman legend usually credit their second king Numa with the establishment of the 2 new months. So they're saying that this is a Roman legend right here. This is speculations. Go ahead.
These were first placed at the end of the year, but at some point came to be considered the first 2 months instead.
Right. So they said they placed it at the end of the year, but at some point it came to be considered the first 2 months instead. So they moved it ahead of March. So that's why now you got January and February, then March. Right. And it threw everything off. Now you're confused. You don't know. Oh wait. Well, I thought March was New Year, so they threw that in front of that, which and because January the 1st is the first month, it put January at the as the New Year now. Read on.
The January calend Latin Calendi.
Right, that means calendar. The January calendar. Go ahead.
The start of the month of January came to be celebrated as the new year at some point after it became the day of the
Arguing
new council in 153 BC.
Now, what? Stop. Don't in January. What takes place in January? Remember, in November, around November 4th, you vote. Our people went out, silly as hell, voting. Right? You vote for a new president. Now, that happened in November. You so-called vote for a new president in November. I'm gonna say it like that. You so-called vote for a new president, but you really don't vote for a new president. Right? In December, you actually voted for the Electoral College to vote for so they can be set up to vote for the actual president. And that's in December. Now, January, you have a president-elect now after the Electoral College has voted. It's official in December. In January, they have an inaugurating process where he's getting sworn in now. It's called the inauguration. Read this part again.
The January calend, Latin calandi, Lanuary, the start of the month of January, came to be celebrated as the new year at some point after it became the day for the inaugurating new council.
The same, ain't nothing changed. It became the day for the inauguration as also for a new president today. That's why you have the inauguration in January. It all coincides. It all links up. Read.
In 153 BC,
Romans
had long dated their years by these
councilships.
New Year.
No, councilships.
Rather than
sequentially. Go ahead.
And marking the calends.
Making the
calends of January start the new year align this dating.
Right.
Still, private and religious celebrations around the March New Year continued for some time, and there is no consensus of the question of the timing of January's first new status.
Right. All right. So let's drop all that. So what I want to bring out is the history of where New Year's Day came from. Now, I have a book. You know, I have a book. All right. I always want to bring out a book. 1 second. All right. So I have a book here. Remember, we read Romans 15:4. We must search. We must go back of things written before time. All right. So now, I have a book of us. It's called the History of the Jews. History of the Jewish nation. All right. So it goes into how we conducted ourselves when this so-called New Year's came around during the Roman Empire. So watch this. Read that.
Anything that could directly or indirectly be connected with idolatry.
So this is talking about us, the Jews. Go ahead.
Such as heathen ornaments, etc., might not be lawfully used by a Hebrew.
Right. So anything, read from the top again.
Anything that could directly or indirectly be connected with idolatry.
So anything that could directly or indirectly be connected with idolatry. What is idolatry? Putting anything before the Most High God. What is the root word of idolatry? Idol. It becomes your idol. Therefore, you become an idolater. And it's idolatry because you put it before the Most High God. I don't know if I said that right. The root word or the prefix. Is it the prefix? The prefix. Idol. Read it again.
Anything that could directly or indirectly be connected with idolatry, such as heathen ornaments.
Right? 1 second. Give me Psalms 95 and 6. 96 and 5.
The book of Psalms, chapter 96 and verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols.
You see that? For all the gods of the other nations are idols. The Most High gave these other nations up to other gods. That's why you see Esau. You see the other nations worshiping a tree. You understand? You see the other nations, they worshiping. You got the East Indians. They worshiping. No. They worship a god called Krishna. The East Indians. So that's Elam today. I mean, no. Elam is the East Indians today. I'm sorry. They have a god with 8 arms that they worship. 8 arms. Can't do nothing for them, but they got 8 arms. Right. But that's what they worship. Okay, you got in the Arabs. The Arabs worship many gods. They had over, when you in the book Babylon Timbuktu, it tells you that the Arabs had over 300 and something gods, man. Before Muhammad came into play and they started going into Islam, and it's still idolatry, because they worshiping what? They have a crescent moon. Okay, so read it again.
Psalms 96 verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols.
Right. The Most High gave all the other nations up to other gods. Read on.
But the Lord made the heavens.
Right. But God himself, okay, the God of Israel made the heavens. All right. Now let's go back to the book real quick.
All right. Anything that could directly or indirectly be connected with idolatry, such as heathen ornaments, etc.
Go ahead.
Might not be lawfully used by a Hebrew.
Right. Might not lawfully be used by us, because we understood the first commandment. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Go ahead.
Who was in no way to compromise himself with countenance anti-Jewish practice, to throw down a stone in honor of Mercury.
So Mercury was another Roman god. Okay. Matter of fact, you hear about Mercury in the book of Acts, I think chapter 17. Somewhere, I think when Paul was on the island of Melita, you hear about Mercury, the god Mercury. All right, go ahead.
Or to touch those which had so been thrown down, to enter into business relations with heathens 3 days before or after their feast, to make purchase.
Right. So we didn't have interrelations with the other nations 3 or how many days?
3 days before or after their feast.
Right. 3 days before or after their feast. Okay, go ahead.
To make purchase in shops decorated with garlands in honor of idols.
So that's what Paul was talking about in Corinthians, I think chapter 14. He was going into about you go into certain marketplaces and they have idols in there. Okay, but some of us at that time period that had weak minds, we didn't go in there. That's why Paul had to come and say, "Yo, so it's nothing. Those guys are nothing." All right, but for those with weak minds, you wouldn't go in there. All right, go ahead.
Even to celebrate.
I'm paraphrasing it. I know I chopped it up, but I'm paraphrasing what Paul was saying about the idols in the marketplaces and so forth. Go ahead.
Even to celebrate the 1st of January, the new year.
You see that? This is what I wanted. Read that part again.
Even to celebrate the 1st of January, the new year.
So we knew better. We knew better not to celebrate the 1st of January. This is during the Roman captivity. Read that part again.
Even to celebrate the 1st of January, the new year.
You see that? We knew better not to celebrate the 1st of January, which was the new year. Because why? It was what? Idolatry. Go ahead.
Or any other kalends, 1st of the month, or
any other 1st of the month that Esau set up to be the 1st of the month. Like, for example, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, President's Day, Bike Day, Rat Day. I don't know. All these holidays that they coming up with. We knew better not to mess with it. Because it was idolatry. Go ahead.
The Saturnalia.
Saturnalia, that goes back to Christmas. Saturnalia. Go ahead.
The birth of the
coronation day
of a heathen emperor was strictly was strictly
interdicted.
interdicted.
So the coronation, the Saturnalia, the birth of the coronation day of a heathen emperor. Of a heathen emperor. Give me that. 1 second. Watch this. Give me First Maccabees. No, Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 6 through 9. Second Maccabees, chapter 6. Go ahead.
The book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
Right. So it wasn't lawful for us to profess ourselves to be Israelites. All right. To be Jews. To keep our high holy days. Okay. Go ahead. Read on.
And in the day of the king's birth.
You see that? In the day of the king's birth, which is when?
Every month they were brought by bitter constraints to eat the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go into procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
So at this time, we were forced to do these things, or we will be put to death. All right, read on.
Moreover, they went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathens by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
1 second. Let me see. Who's that prince? Sister said, so can we celebrate the 1st of March since that's the real New Year? Well, sis, I'm going to go into that. We're going to go into that right after this. We're going to jump into when we supposed to celebrate the New Year. That's why I'm bringing this out, sis. All right, so let's be patient. We're going to go into that. We're going to bring that out for you. Good question. Very good question. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles.
So whosoever would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles. How the Gentiles dress. What holidays they celebrated. If we didn't follow what they were doing, we were put to what?
Should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
Right. Now, go back to the book. Start with start at
those which had so been thrown down to enter into business relations with heathens 3 days before or after their feast, to make purchase in shops decorated with garlands in honor of idols.
Right. We took that thing serious, man. We did not play around with idolatry. We did not play around with idolatry. Go ahead.
Even to celebrate the 1st of January, the new year.
Even to celebrate the 1st of January, the new year. Even to celebrate the 1st of January, the new year. We did not deal with that, man. We didn't play with that. Why? Because we knew it was after another god, the god Janus, the god of gateways and beginnings. Read on.
Or any other kalends 1st of the month.
Any other 1st of the month that they had set up on their calendars. Go ahead.
The Saturnalia,
which goes back to Christmas. That goes back to Bacchus and all that and so forth. Go ahead.
The birth or the coronation day of the heathen emperor.
Right. That goes back to what we just read in 2 Maccabees, chapter 6. In the day of the king's birth, that goes into his birthday. They forced us to celebrate the king's birthday every month. Go ahead.
Was strictly
interdicted.
Interdicted.
Meaning what? Interdicted is not an ordinary Negro word. Interdicted means prohibited. It was strictly prohibited by us. We did not deal with that. All right? We did not deal with that. All right? Now, let's bring it up. Now, let's get some scriptures. So, when is our... First, let me bring... Oh, before I forget. I'm sorry. Hold on, Israel. 1 second. I'm all over the place. 1 second. Before I forget... Let's find out what else happened to us on New Year's. I'm going to bring it all the way up to slavery. All the way up to slavery now. Watch this. This is an article out of Time Magazine. You can look this up. Article out of Time Magazine. All right. So we're going to bring it all the way up to slavery. What happened to us on New Year's Day? What happened to us on New Year's Day during the time of slavery? Make sure everybody can see it in a second. Hey, turn this one off. Oh, you. All right, read that. So this is Time Magazine. It's an article. You can look it up yourselves. All right. It's called The Slaves Dread New Year's Day the Worst. Read that again. The slaves dread New Year's Day the worst. The grim history of January 1st. All right. Slaves dread New Year's Day the worst. The grim history of January 1st. All right. Let's go down. All right, read that.
Americans are likely to think of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day as a time to celebrate the fresh start that a new year represents.
Right. So our people ignorantly, think that this is a fresh start for us. We think that New Year represents a fresh start. Go ahead.
But there is also a troubling side of the holiday's history.
No, to the holiday history.
To the holiday's history.
Read.
So
he's saying, but there's a troubling side to this holiday's history. Go ahead.
In the years before the Civil War, the first day of the new year was often a heartbreaking one for enslaved people in the United States.
Damn. In the years before the Civil War, the first day, because the reason why he's saying the years before the Civil War, because after that they so-called freed us. But before that, we were still enslaved. This day right here was a heartbreaking day for us. You're going to read on. You're going to say why.
In the African American community, the New Year's Day used to be the widely known as hiring day.
So, for blacks, in the community, New Year's Day used to be widely known as hiring day, or what?
Or heartbreak day.
Damn, or heartbreak day. Go ahead.
As the African American abolitionist journalist William Cooper Nell described it.
Read.
Because enslaved people spent New Year's Eve waiting, wondering if their owners were going to rent them out to someone else.
You see that? That's what was happening to us on this day. Our people don't read, man. Our people don't look nothing up. But this generation, we willingly following New Year's like it was something, like it's something to glorify. Right. No, yeah, our ancestors didn't think this way. They hated this day. Because enslaved people spent New Year's Eve waiting, wondering if their owners were going to rent them out to someone else. So, wait a minute, we wasn't shooting fireworks? We wasn't doing shooting off guns on New Year's Eve? Now, people silly as hell, man. Go ahead, read on.
Thus, potentially splitting up their families.
You see that? Because that's what was going to happen. If you're going to be rented out to someone else on an auction block, you're going to be most likely split from your family. Let's get that in Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32.
The book of Deuteronomy.
Matter of fact, hold off on that. Hold that. Keep reading.
The renting out of the slave labor was a relatively common practice in the antebellum South, and a profitable practice for white slave owners and hires.
Right, they profit off this thing just like they've been profiting off of us. Right, read on.
Hiring day was part of the larger economic cycle in which most debts were collected and settled on New Year's Day.
Read.
Says
Alexis McCrossin.
An expert on the history of the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and a professor of history at the Southern Methodist University, who writes about hiring day in her forthcoming book, Time's Touchstone, The New Year in American Life.
Right. So she has a book out called The New Year in American Life. All right. Read on.
Some enslaved people were put up for auction that day.
You see that? So we were on New Year's Day. Okay, the day that our people think is their New Year's, we were put up for auction on this day. We was put on auction blocks. Can we read about that in the scriptures? Yes, we can. Give me Deuteronomy 28:68.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I speak unto thee.
Spake unto thee.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
Read.
And there ye shall be sold.
There ye shall be sold. Read.
Unto your enemies.
For what?
For bondmen.
Slave men.
And bondwomen.
Slave women. You sisters was there too. Read.
And no man shall buy you.
Right. I mean, there will be nobody, none of our people to rise up and save us out of our conditions. Okay? Read on. Let's go back to the article. Some enslaved people
were put up for auction that day.
Being sold on auction blocks. Go ahead.
Or held under contracts that started in January.
So January 1st, you was held under a contract. Go ahead.
These transactions also took place all year long, and contracts could last for different amounts of times. These deals were conducted privately among families, friends, and business contacts, and slaves were handed over in town square or courthouse steps, and sometimes simply on the side of the road.
Damn. This is how they treated us. This is what they did to us. It says these deals were conducted privately among families, friends, and business contacts. And slaves was handed over in town squares, on courthouse steps, okay, and sometimes simply on the side of the road, man. Like we was a dog or some animal that they was getting rid of or selling. Go ahead.
According to Divided Mastery, Slave Hiring in the American South by Jonathan D. Martin.
Right. We'll move down. Go ahead.
Accounts of the cruelty of hiring day come from records left by those who secured their freedom, who describe spending that day, the day before January 1st, hoping and praying that their hires would be humane and that their families could stay together.
You see that? This is what we praying for on New Year's Eve, man. We ain't out running around buying firecrackers, popping firecrackers. We ain't shooting no guns off on New Year's Eve. At this time right here, our ancestors was mad as hell. They was scared, heartbroken, because they don't know what's about to happen to them. We about to be split up from our families. Go ahead.
Of all days in the year, the slaves...
Whoa. Read that slow. Read it again.
Of all days in the year...
Of all the days in the year, 365 days out the year, read.
The slaves dread...
The slaves dreaded. We hated. Go ahead.
New Year's Day, the worst of any.
You see that? We dreaded New Year's Day, the worst of any other day out of the year, man. We hated this day. Go ahead.
A slave named Lewis Clark said in a 1842 account, one New Year's Day, we went to the auctioneer's block.
On New Year's Day, we went to the auctioneer's block. Go ahead.
To be hired to the highest bidder for 1 year.
So you'll be hired out for 1 year to the highest bidder on New Year's Day. Go ahead.
Israel Campbell wrote in a memoir published in 1861 in Philadelphia.
This is in Philly. This is here in Philadelphia. Go ahead.
In which he described being hired out 3 times.
Damn, he got hired out 3 times. So every time this year came around, he was getting hired out. Read on.
That's where that saying comes from. That what you do on New Year's Day, you'll be doing all the rest of the year.
You see that? And our people still say that to this day, man. What you gonna be doing? How we say it today? What you doing today? You gonna be doing it the rest of the year. That saying come from slavery. It says that's where the saying comes from. That what you do on New Year's Day, you'll be doing all the rest of the year. So meaning what? How you start your New Year's out is how you gonna complete the rest of the year. That's where the saying come from. All right. Let's get some more. Hold on. So these are different accounts of actual slaves, man. These are their accounts of this day that they dreaded. Start right here.
On one of these faithful days Jacob saw, a mother led 7 children to the auction block.
So a mother had led 7 of her children to the auction block. Go ahead.
She knew that some of them would be taken from her.
So she already knew what was up. She's like, yo, I already know out of y'all 7, some of y'all gonna be taken from me. Go ahead.
But they took all.
Wait a minute. They ain't take some of the 7. They said, look, we want all of them. Read.
The slave trader who took the children wouldn't tell her where he was taking them because it depended on where he could get the highest price.
So he didn't give a damn about telling the mom nothing. Because she was property. They're not gonna tell you, oh, we about to take your kids over here. No. He didn't give a damn. All that was on his mind was getting the highest price for all of them. On hiring day, on New Year's Day. Go ahead.
Jacob said she would never forget the mother crying out, gone, all gone. Why don't God kill me?
You see that? This is what she cried out. Gone. All of them gone. Why don't God kill me? Now, give me Deuteronomy 28 and 32.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 32.
So what we showing you, these curses in the Bible is a true book, man.
Right.
Okay, watch this. Go ahead.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Sorry, verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
That all these curses shall come upon us and overtake us. All right. Now, jump to 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Now, didn't we just read this? The sister led 7 of her children to the auction block. Okay. And they ain't take some of them. They took all. Why? So he can bid the highest price on them. So you get the highest price for all of them. Go ahead.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
Did not the mother do that?
Right.
It said, Jacob said she would never forget the mother crying out, gone, all gone. Why don't God kill me? Read that again.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand.
There's nothing she could do about it.
Right.
There's nothing that we could have done about it as men. All right. Jump down. So what we showing you is the dreaded, that we hated New Year's Day, man. Right here.
Enslaved people who attempted to resist going to their new masters were whipped and thrown in jail until they relented and promised not to run away during the new arrangement.
This happened on New Year's. Let me remind y'all. This happened on New Year's Day again. Enslaved people who attempted to resist going to their new masters were whipped and thrown in jail until they relented and promised not to run away during the new arrangement. Go ahead.
Older slaves were also particularly vulnerable, as Jacob describes one owner trying to hire out a frail, roughly 70-year-old woman because he was moving away.
Look, man, he was just trying to get rid of her. At this point right now, look, I'm just trying to get rid of you. You know what I mean? I'm out of here. Look, I'm trying to get the best price for you, but you too damn old. This is the way they looked at us. But I'm gonna still try to get something for you. All right. I'm gonna still try to make some type of dough off of you, but you know, but you're up in age. But I'm out of here. I gotta, you know, go ahead.
But the history of New Year's Day in America's slavery is not all honor. Horror. The holiday was also associated with freedom.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. We hated New Year's Day.
Right.
We hated that thing. All right. So what we showing you is that even up until during slavery, okay, the things that was happening to us on New Year's Day, man, not good at all. We hated it. We dreaded it. We was being sold on this day. Okay, families were being split apart. We show you that in the scriptures. Okay, these are the curses that we were living out. All right, being sold on auction blocks. Okay, and these are actual accounts from actual slaves. Okay, these are their accounts of it, of what was going on, or what they seen, or it happening to them. All right. So now we're gonna drop that. So now let's get into when is our New Year's. A sister asked a good question. She said, "So when should we celebrate the New Year's?" We're about to go into it now, sis. Very good question. About to go into it now. 1 second. Give me Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. Let's get into it. Exodus 12, verse 1.
The book of Exodus.
Hold on. Let me get that with you.
Go ahead. The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
You see that? So this is the book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. Read it from the top again.
Verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This particular month here, this month, read, shall be unto you the beginning of months.
So this month right here, this is going to be the beginning of all your months. Read.
It shall be the first month of the year to you.
You see that? This month right here that I'm talking about, this should be the first month of the whole year to you. All right. Jump to verse 11.
Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
So this right here, this month right here to you, that's going to be the beginning of all your months. This is the Lord's Passover. This is going to be the month of the Lord's Passover right here. All right. So this is what the Most High is instructing Moses and Aaron, that this month right here that I'm going to let you know what is the month is going to be the Lord's Passover in this particular month. All right. Now, let's see what month it is. Give me the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 1. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 1. Observe the month of Abib.
Observe the month of what?
Abib.
Observe the month of Abib. Remember back in Exodus 12 and 2, he said, this month shall be the beginning of the year to you. This is the beginning of all your months. Read it again.
Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God.
You see that? In this particular month, which is going to be the beginning of the year to you, this will be the Passover in this month. Read on.
For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
Right, and this month right here, this is going to be a memorial. This is going to be a memorial to you Israelites. Why? Because this is when the Lord delivered us out of Egypt. All right. Now, let's get the month of Abib.
This is
remember, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover. Remember in Exodus 12 and 2, he said, this month should be the beginning of months. This should be the first month of the year to you. Go ahead.
This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 13. Abib, an ear of corn, the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year.
Right. Abib means the ear of corn. Okay. Why? Because this is when everything starts to blossom, man. Okay. This is when everything starts to blossom. In the month of Abib. Read again.
Abib, an heir of corn, the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year. After the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of our March in early April.
You see that? The month of Abib fell about March or early April. Remember the New Year's Day article that I put up earlier. Remember, all the nations was celebrating their New Year's in March. Okay, read it again.
Abib, an ear of corn, the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year. After the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of our March in early April.
So the month of Abib fell about around March or early April, in between. And we're going to show you how you know when to celebrate it. We're gonna get all that. Let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to pull something up. One second, Israel. I'm trying to pull. All right, read it again. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull up Wikipedia for a bit for ear of corn. Go ahead.
All right, Abib, an ear of corn, the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year. After the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of our March in early April.
Right. So it fell about our March or early April. Fell about our March or early April. All right. Now let's get how we know. Because it said it didn't say it fell March. It didn't say it fell in a particular fell in March or it fell in April. It fell between March or early April. Okay. But what day is that? What day is that? Give me Sirach. But how do we know? Book of Sirach, chapter 40, 43, verse 6. Hold on. Right?
This is the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43 and verse 6.
Pay attention. Go ahead.
He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
Right. The Most High made the moon for a declaration, made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. Read.
From the moon
is
the sign of feast.
You see that? From the moon is the sign of feast. We just had a new moon that just passed.
Right.
How you knew it was a new moon? The word moon come from the word month come from moon. The word month come from the word moon. New moon means a new month. That's all it means. New moon means a new month. Read it again.
From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreases in her perfection.
Right, because the moon has a cycle. Okay, you got the waning stage and you got the waxing stage. It has a cycle. You could look that up. All right, go ahead.
The month is called after her name.
There you go. The month is called after her name. The word month comes from the word moon. Go ahead.
Increasing wonderfully in her changing.
Right, that's the waxing stage when it increases. Okay, go ahead.
Being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
Right, shining in the firmament of the heaven. Okay, shining, meaning what? You're going to look up and you're going to see a full moon. You're going to see a full moon. Okay. Bright. Okay. Give me from there. Give me numbers 10 and 10. I'm going somewhere. From there, give me numbers 10 and 10. I'm not gonna keep you long, Israel. I'm almost done. Numbers 10 and 10.
The book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offering, and over the sacrifice of your peace offerings, that they be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God.
Right. Read it again. Sorry.
Verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months.
When is the beginning of our months? The new moon. The new moon. When the moon is at its brightest. That's the beginning of our months. That's how you know the beginning of your months. Once you see that moon at its full, you know, okay, it's a new month now. Read it again.
Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings.
Oh, read that slow. Read that slow.
In the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifice, and of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God.
Right. So I have a question now. In the beginning of your months, remember we have the month of Abib. Remember it says it falls between. Let's get that again. Let's refresh. Let's get that one more time.
The Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 13. The month of Abib. An ear of corn, the pre-exilic name for the first month of the year. After the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of March and early April.
See, it falls about the time of March or early April. Now, drop that. Now read Numbers 10 and 10 again.
The book of Numbers, chapter 10, verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpet over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifice of your peace offerings, that they be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God.
All right, after that, now, hold that. Give me Psalms 81 and 3. Psalms 81, verse 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
So let's blow up the trumpet in your new month. New moon, new month. In your what?
In the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
Right, the time appointed on your solemn feast day. So my question, Israel, when will you know it's Passover? That's my question. When will you know that it is? No, I'm sorry. When will you know that it's the beginning of the year? Remember, it says between March and early April. How would you know that it's the beginning of your new year? In between March and early April. What's the sign to let you know, okay, yo, this is our new year? Yes, the new moon. Yes, the new moon. The new moon. The new moon. Once you see that moon at its brightest, at its full between March and early April, that's the beginning of your year. That's it. Not January 1st. No, when you see that moon at full between March and early April, which is the month of Abib, that's the new year now. That's the beginning of our new year. And 14 days after that is Passover. Let's go back to Sirach 43 again.
The book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast.
You see that? From the moon, you must see a new moon in order to know when your feast is coming. You cannot tell when your feast is coming if you do not see that new moon. If you do not count the certain days that the Most High set for us to count in Leviticus 23, Leviticus chapter 23. Once you see the moon, the new moon, now you can go to Leviticus chapter 23 and say, oh, and now you know when your feast is coming. Okay, you know when the Feast of Tabernacles, you know when the Feast of Passover is coming. You know when the Feast of Tabernacles is coming. Pentecost, Day of Atonement, Memorial blowing of trumpets. Okay, why? You must know from what? The new moon. Read it again.
From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
A light that decreases in her perfection. Give me Genesis 1 and 14. I'm almost done.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 14.
Read.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
You see that? Let there be lights. Let there be lights, lights, lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons. Okay, for signs and for seasons. All right. Now, give me John 14. First, give me Luke 2:41. Luke chapter 2. So now we have understanding. Now we understand when, and I'm gonna give an example. Now we have understanding when our new year is. All right.
Luke 2.
Yeah, Luke 2.
The book of Luke, chapter 2 and verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover.
So this is Christ. Go ahead.
And when he was 12 years old,
so when Christ turned 12,
they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast.
Let you know Christ turned 12 on Passover. Christ turned 12 on Passover. Okay, that's when Christ was born. Passover. All right, give me John 14:6. Christ was not born on December 25th in the dead of winter. John chapter 14, verse 6.
The book of John, chapter 14 and verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Now we want the life. Okay, Passover. It's around springtime. That's when everything comes to life. It makes sense that that's the beginning of our months. It makes sense that that's the new year. That the new year comes around that time, because everything is starting to because the earth is starting to becoming fresh again. Trees are blossoming. Everything is growing. Okay, that's the time. Not in the dead of winter. There's no leaves out there right now. It don't make sense. It's people crazy, man. It don't make sense. It's cold as hell outside. You couldn't even enjoy, if it was New Year's Day, you couldn't even enjoy it if you wanted to. It's too damn cold. Right. You understand? So it don't make sense. It don't add up. All right? Read that again.
Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Right. Right. No man cometh to the Father but by Christ. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how we count. Let me go to Leviticus 23rd chapter. Give me Leviticus chapter 23 verse 4.
The book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
You see that? In the 14th day of the first month. Remember the first month. Y'all probably forgot. Give me Exodus 12 and 2.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 2. The verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Now get Deuteronomy 16 and 1 again.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib.
Remember, Abib is the first month of the year to us. Remember, between March and early April. How do we know that? The new moon. The new moon. The new moon. All right, go back to Leviticus chapter 23.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 4 again.
Yeah, 4.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
Right. So now, you see the new moon between March and early April. That's the beginning of our year. 14 days after that, at even, you count the 14 days, and then at even, which will bring you to the 15th day, because when you go back to Genesis 1 and 5, our days start in the evening. Not in the morning, they start in the evening. Get that, man. Genesis 1 and 5. Just like Sabbath.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Right. The evening and the morning were the first day. All right. So let's go back. The evening and the morning were the first day. Go back. Read it again.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 5.
Read.
In the 14th day.
So in the 14th day, so you're going to count 14 days
of
from the new moon. Go ahead.
In the 14th day of the first month at even.
Now at even, on the 14th day, go ahead.
Is the Lord's Passover.
Is the Lord's Passover. Okay. Read on.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
Right. Is that, and then that's the Passover, which is also called the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right. Which is on the 15th day. Okay. Right. So, look, there's no time to be ignorant. There's no time to be ignorant. All right. All our people gotta do is look things up and search. All right. So now you have some understanding that this is not your New Year's. We dreaded this day the most during slavery. All right. Our people's out here worshiping the god Janus, which is idolatry. All right. Our New Year begins in March, early April, the month of Abib. All right. When we see that new moon, that's the beginning of our year. Okay. All right. So I hope y'all glean something from that. All right. With that, I'm going to say shalom.
Shalom.